Well, welcome back. What I want to just quickly touch on now is one of my favorite quadrant graphs, which is the strategic importance versus complexity quadrant graph. And I want to just show you, as you go through one of these exercises, almost where you want to land as you work through the design and the business design process. So let's have a quick look at the different quadrants that we're going to work with. All right. So what we have is down here, strategic importance. Alright. And over here we have complexity. And don't worry about how you identify what these are, because I'm going to teach you this as we progress. But really I want to just talk about what happens when we position stuff onto this quadrant graph. Now you can actually take goals, objectives, products, capabilities, services. There's a whole bunch of things that you can overlay onto this graph. So depending on what you overlay, you can actually see, let's have a look at, a business service. So some new type of service that we want to release to market. And in the top right quadrant, you've got what is referred to as the complex space, but it's extremely valuable. So everything on this side, right, is what we would consider to be of high value. Right? And everything on this side is really what is referred to as low value or low importance. And the knowledge funnel that I referred to in a previous module seeks to take ideas and concepts from this top right quadrant and funnel it through these quadrants. So basically moving you from this top space here into this repeatable area here for processes and eventually down into automation quadrant. So each of these quadrants has different activities that must occur. Right? In the top right quadrant, this is what we refer to as the design or redesign quadrant. Down here is what we refer to as the improve quadrant. In other words, here's where you'd apply things like Lean and Six Sigma, theory of constraints to try and improve your business. Over here is what we refer to as the automate quadrant, and over here is what we refer to as the outsource quadrant. And depending upon if you're doing business model innovation and those types of things, you'll find that you could have capabilities, products or services that might move from this area across to the left-hand side. And you often see that if you alter your business model, like you no longer manufacture products, the product manufacturing capability is no longer a high-value capability in your organization, and you might move it over into the outsourcing quadrant. We'll learn how to do that in a later module. But for now, this is the funnel that we spoke about. So over here, this is the mystery space, which sits over here. This over here is what's referred to as the heuristic space. And all of this is what we refer to as you codifying, or you're trying to create repeatable algorithms in your business so that you can actually create some level of improvement. Now, I've been on projects where clients have tried to automate the top right quadrant, and they've built the most functionally rich ERP systems the world has ever seen, but constant state of chaos, constant state of flux, very expensive for the client, overkill. You cannot apply technology in the top right quadrant. Similarly, down in the bottom right quadrant, it's very difficult to apply technology, especially off the shelf, commercial off the shelf technology, into that space. So in the top right quadrant, you would traditionally focus only on the people bit. So what I'm trying to do here is focus on people. That is the lever that I can pull in order to get improvement out of my business. Whereas if I'm in this quadrant here, this is the process space. So that's the lever that I will pull in order to get the value out of my business. But process often leads to differentiation. And over in this quadrant here, this tends to be the technology space. So you can see people, process, and technology are actually the dimensions of a capability. Right? So what we want to try and do, we'll get to some stage in the future, is overlay services, products, capabilities onto a grid like this, and we can actually get an idea of, okay, what levers might we actually want to pull. Now, one final point in this is that this space in the bottom left quadrant is accelerating. It's actually growing bigger. So this area here, so much of human knowledge is being commoditized and pushed into this area. No longer do we pay millions for an ERP system. We can go and provision one on the internet and have it up and running in 5 minutes with a huge database of contacts that we can work with. So a lot of human knowledge is being codified. So how we accelerate through this knowledge funnel is actually occurring at a faster rate. What that also means is that this space up top here is also growing. And that's why Pink, in his book, what is it called, A Whole New Mind, spoke about this shift away from the information age to the conceptual age and the age of the idea. And you see that in the startup communities and all the rest of those types of changes that are occurring in the market, is that the age of the idea and the concepts that are actually being introduced into market are also accelerating. So this space is actually getting much bigger. But it's our job as business designers to identify business models that are going to work, that are viable, feasible, and desirable, and then be able to industrialize them and create them so that we can get that repeatability out of those business models and scale them into the organization. Catch you next time.